Have you ever found yourself in a dark movie theater? The screen black and suddenly from a distant corner, a faint glow flickers from someone's phone. That strange involuntary pull toward the light. Just for a second, that's exactly what small fish experience deep in the ocean. Except they don't get to be annoyed, because often, right after that flicker, comes a gaping mouth, lined with needle-like teeth, lunging out of the darkness. The monster isn't a dragon or a demon, it's just a fish. A fish with an innocent-sounding name that's anything but innocent. The anglerfish. Sounds harmless, right? Like some uncle sitting on a riverbank with a fishing pole. But this creature doesn't fish for fun. It fishes to kill. Its world is unlike anything we know. It lives in the deepest, darkest, coldest, and frankly, most terrifying part of the ocean. A place scientists call the bathypelagic zone, the realm where sunlight doesn't reach. There are no seasons, no trees, no colors as we know them. Just cold, suffocating blackness and pressure that could crush a submarine like an empty soda can. And in the heart of that undersea hell, a tiny flicker of light glows. It doesn't come from treasure or a rescue sub. It comes from the forehead of the anglerfish, a glowing lure, twitching gently like a hypnotist's pocket watch. A biological flashlight dangling in the void, powered by millions of bioluminescent bacteria living in symbiosis with the fish. This lamp is part of the female, yes, the female. In the world of anglerfish, she's the predator, the overlord, the glowing queen of shadows. She might only be 20 centimeters long, but she's all fangs and appetite. It's like a floating meatball with teeth shaped like shattered glass. Her glowing lure, called the esca, sways gently above her mouth, casting just enough light to invite and destroy. If you ever found yourself near her, though, for your own sake, I hope not you wouldn't hear noise. You'd hear a silence so thick it hums, like the sound inside a sealed tomb, maybe the echo of your own heartbeat. Then, a faint ripple through the water, subtle, patient, like a shadow waiting for you to blink. And then light, a flicker, gentle, inviting. The kind of glow that feels like home. The kind that says, come closer. Just a little closer. If you were a small fish, hungry and lost, you'd move toward it. You'd see the light wiggle like a worm, and curiosity would stir like a child spotting candy through glass. The scent here isn't floral, it's foul. Thick, fishy, decaying smell like dead bait left in the sun. But in that absolute darkness, it's almost reassuring. Then snap. A jaw unhinges. A trap slams shut. No time to run. No scream. Just a clean surgical end. Anglerfish don't chase their prey. They wait. Like a monk in stillness. Or a serial killer with a flashlight. Their lure does all the work. Sometimes they sit for hours. Days. But when the time comes, the mouth opens twice as wide as their own body. Like they're made of elastic and hunger. They've even been known to swallow prey larger than themselves. That's how weird their anatomy is. Their stomachs are like rubber bags, stretchy, endless, patient, not even remotely bothered by manners or proportion. Someone once told me loud eaters are rude. In the world of anglerfish, it's a survival strategy. I once saw a close-up photo of one end, if you haven't. Imagine a dragon's head that's been inflated until it pops, with fangs pointing in every direction like rusted nails. Eyes clouded white like ghosts from a horror movie. Skin wrinkled and black-brown, like beef jerky left to die in a cave. Honestly, if Satan had a pet, it would be an anglerfish. So why did nature make something so... horrifying? Why not give it the elegance of a dolphin or the dazzle of a goldfish? Because in the deepest part of the world, beauty doesn't matter. Visibility doesn't matter. Color, charm, elegance, those are luxuries. Down here it's about survival, about whatever can cling to life in a place where nothing else wants to grow. And in that battle, the anglerfish doesn't need to be liked. It only needs you to come closer. If you'd like, I can tell you what happens next. Trust me, compared to what comes after, getting swallowed in the dark is actually the gentlest part. If you thought being lured by a ghostly light and swallowed whole was the worst fate a fish could suffer, you haven't heard about what the anglerfish does in the name of love. Because down here, where darkness rules, and the ocean floor is a graveyard of pressure and silence, romance takes a turn so grotesque, it makes horror stories look quaint. Let's talk about the male anglerfish. He's tiny, pathetically tiny. While the female is round, monstrous, radiant, and deadly, the male is a wisp. A finger-sized shadow, barely a few centimeters long, with soft skin, dull senses, and no glowing lure. His eyes are small, stomach is almost non-functional, and he is born with one purpose: not to eat, not to swim far, not to build a life. His only mission? Out in the vast black void of the deep, he sniffs the currents like a bloodhound. His sense of smell is unnaturally strong, heightened to detect the faintest chemical signal released by a female somewhere in the dark. He may wander for days, weeks, with nothing but a ghost of a trail. He doesn't hunt, he barely eats. He lives like a zombie, drifting on instinct, until he finds her. Imagine this: a trembling little male, dwarfed by a glowing sea demon that could swallow him in a single bite. He circles her cautiously. Then, with all the desperation and madness of something dying for meaning, he takes a bite not of her prey, not of her lure, but of her skin. And she lets him. What happens next is not courtship. It is biological possession. From that bite, a fusion begins. Cells start to dissolve. Veins crawl out like roots. His skin melds with hers. His muscles atrophy. His heart stops beating on its own. His eyes fade to pale, milky orbs. His brain dies. What's left behind is a pair of testes. That's it. Reproductive organ. Once part of a whole being, now fused permanently to her body. He no longer thinks, no longer feels. He exists only to provide sperm on demand for the rest of her life. If that makes your stomach turn good, because this isn't some poetic metaphor. This is literally what happens. His flesh becomes hers. His blood flows through her arteries. His individuality is erased. He's not a lover. He's a living organ transplant. And she can carry not one, not two, but 6 to 8 of these fused, melted-down males at once. It's like barnacles of doomed affection, scattered along her belly and sides, never moving, never speaking, never leaving. They hang from her like twisted trophies, reminder of the strange economy of deep-sea love where loneliness is so crushing. Even cannibalistic romance is better than being alone. From time to time, when she releases her eggs into the blackness, the absorbed males do their job. No passion, no contact, just a quiet biological function triggered by her body, like flipping a switch on a machine. I can't help but imagine her drifting through the dark, her glowing lure twitching, her long teeth gleaming like shattered icicles, while the tiny corpses of her mates ride along in silence. It's not romantic, it's not tender. It's horrific, and yet it works. Nature, in its infinite creativity, saw the problem. How do you find a mate when you live in a place so vast and empty that you might never see another of your kind? Unit answered. You don't find them. You absorb them. The deep sea doesn't have time for candlelit dinners and long walks on the beach. It demands efficiency, permanence, brutality disguised as biology. If this sounds nightmarish to you, imagine being the male. It's born just to die into someone else. To spend your brief, blind life searching for the light only to disappear into it forever. And yet that's their reality. No choice, no rebellion, no escape. You might think, well, at least he found love. But did he? Or did he just become a flesh key, permanently slotted into someone else's lock? Sometimes I wonder if he knew what he was doing. If there's a moment during the fusion where the male realizes the Kastaz's brain begins to die, as his thoughts thin into nothingness, as his self is swallowed up, does he regret it? Or is he just relieved? After all, in the deep sea, survival itself is an overwhelming burden. Maybe vanishing into someone stronger, warmer, more alive is the closest thing to peace. Still, the image haunts me. A glowing predator queen, gliding through the abyss, her face monstrous, her teeth forever bared in a twisted smile and clinging to her body. Like tumors with names, the remains of every male who ever dared to love her. There's something beautiful about that. But also something utterly bone-deep, terrifying.
And the worst part, but still not the scariest thing about her.
Beneath the sea, where no light ever reaches, movement feels like a slow, silent, and thick with dread. But for the anglerfish, this isn't a void. It's a stage. It's a biological theater of horror, where every flicker of light is both an invitation in a death sentence. Once she's absorbed her silent, brainless husbands, those dangling lumps of reproductive devotion, the female anglerfish continues her solitary reign. Or not so solitary, depending on how you feel about carrying half a dozen fused lovers stuck to your flesh like living barnacles. But life isn't just about love. Down here, hunger reigns far more ruthlessly than romance. And for the anglerfish, hunger is not a sensation. It's a reason to exist. She doesn't hunt in the usual sense. She doesn't chase. She can't afford to waste energy. Instead, she waits motionless, suspended in black water like a corpse that never finished sinking. Only the little glowing lure on her head twitches gently, pulsing like the last emergency light on a sinking ship. Prace, fish, squid, shrimp, sometimes even other strange deep-sea monsters are drawn to that glow. In the absolute darkness, even a faint shimmer feels like salvation. They swim closer, lured by curiosity or instinct, believing they've found hope in the abyss. They don't realize they're swimming straight into a chapel of death.
Ow.
Because that mouth isn't normal. It's a biological horror show. Stretches wider than her own body, unhinging like some rubbery abyss. Teeth aren't just sharp, they're angled inward. Once something slips in, it can't swim out. Ever. It's a one-way door to nowhere and then snap. It happens. No warning, no sound. Just a single, terrifying lurch from the shadows. In that final moment, the prey might smell something rotten, thick, like blood soaked into seaweed and left to fester. Then the light vanishes, forever. And here's the nightmare twist. The prey is often larger than the anglerfish herself. She still swallows it whole. Her stomach? It's like a cursed rubber bag stretch, slow and seemingly limitless. Doesn't matter if you're twice her size. She'll take you in. Not with finesse, not with chewing. Just the cold, brutal physics of engulfment. What's it like inside? Imagine being trapped in a narrow, slick tunnel with walls that pulse and squeeze and reek of bile. No air, no light. Just a slow, suffocating descent into acid and silence. Digestion here isn't a process. It's a sentence. Some call her lazy, but that's wrong. She's a genius of terror. Why chase your food when you can dangle a light and let it kill itself? Why burn calories in pursuit when you can sit like a siren and let the world come to you? This isn't just survival, it's psychological warfare. I once had a nightmare like this. I opened the fridge expecting a soft glow. Instead, there was an eye, round, glowing, waiting, watching. That's what the anglerfish is, a jump scare with teeth. If you think she's the only monster down there, you're wrong. The deep is full of worse things. Fish with teeth that spiral inward like drills. Creatures with transparent skulls. Predators that can swallow a tongue and replace it. Parasites, cannibals, shapeshifters. So yes, even the anglerfish isn't at the top. Just predators, thieves, rivals. Which is why she's evolved not just to kill but to disappear. She blends into the void, glowing just enough to bait, never enough to be seen. Like a ghost with a flashlight, floating in a graveyard. You won't hear her. You won't see her. Not until it's too late, until you're inside her. Until you're surrounded by slick membranes and pressure, and a rising burn of acid. That's her world. No sun, no songs, no lovers with faces, just a flicker of light. And the silence. It's waiting for someone foolish enough to swim toward it. There's something about the deep sea that doesn't just unsettle it, unravels you. It strips away everything warm and familiar. Down here, there's no sky, no sound of waves, no sense of direction. Up and down lose meaning. Time forgets to pass. And somewhere in that infinite nowhere, the anglerfish drifts like a ghost with jaws. But make no mistake, she isn't lost. She's exactly where she means to be. Some nights, if nights even exist down there, I imagine what it must be like to be her. To feel nothing around you but water so cold it burns. To move so slowly that the ocean forgets you're alive. To carry 6 dead-eyed lovers fused into your body, all of them silent, all of them permanent.
Oh.
To be a queen without a kingdom. A hunter without a heartbeat. Her body is built for the void. Soft, gelatinous flesh that bends with pressure instead of breaking. Bones that aren't really bones any, more like suggestions of structure. Everything about her is loose, designed to withstand the crushing embrace of a world that wants her flattened, her organs compressed. Efficient, cold-blooded in every sense. Her heartbeat is faint, her blood slow. Even her eyes are dulled. Less about vision and more about sensing shadows, like feeling a presence behind your back in a pitch-black hallway. And her light, the one beacon in all, that nothingness, never goes out. Sometimes I wonder what she sees in that darkness. Does she ever recognize another anglerfish? Or do they all look the same, just glowing blurs with teeth? Would she know her own kind if she passed one? Or is she so alone that even the idea of others has dissolved? And what about those males fused to her flanks? Are they still aware? They dream, feel, whisper. Inside her, like echoing memories, their last thoughts trapped somewhere between flesh and bone? Or are they just meat, non-reactive, chemical, and empty? It's the quietness that gets to me. The deep sea isn't loud. It doesn't roar or groan like movies pretend. It's full of whispers, soft clicks, distant rumbles that you can't locate. Like a house settling or something breathing miles away. And in that space, the anglerfish is an absence, a hole in reality. You don't know she's near until the light shows up, and even then you might not see her. You might only feel that tug of instinct, that false hope, that flicker that tells your brain, swim toward it. This way, safety. And then you're gone. I once read a theory that said the anglerfish S-light ISNT just for Priya TS for control. That the blinking rhythm might mimic distress signals, or mimic the pulsing of a wounded animal. It's not just a flashlight. It's a lie. A mimicry of need, manipulation of empathy. It says, help me. And when you answer, she devours you. It's hard not to admire that in a twisted way. She doesn't have speed, or agility, or brute strength. What she has is a mindless sort of genius, a trick passed down not through teaching, but through evolution's cruelest trials. Over millions of years, only the ones who deceived best survived, and now she's the master of deceit. She doesn't need to move, doesn't need to chase. She waits, and her patience is infinite. No wonder she looks so ancient. Even her skin, under a microscope, is a horror of its own. Not scales, but a wrinkled leather, thin and dark, like something that's been scorched, drowned, and salted all at once. Covered in tiny pores, constantly oozing a chemical cocktail to maintain balance with the crushing ocean outside. Touch it, and it might feel like wet velvetor, like rotten cloth. Either way, you'd pull your hand back. Quickly. Because she doesn't blink, doesn't flinch, just watches. You might think she's just a fish. But down here, that word doesn't mean what you think it means. She's not just anything. She's a predator evolved in hell's waiting room, sculpted by cold, pressure, and starvation. She doesn't swim like other fish. She drifts, like something half dead, but like a secret. And if you're not careful, you believe in the light she'll make you part of her silence forever. Sometimes I wonder if we placed a mirror at the bottom of the deep sea, turned our backs, and waited. Would we dare to look into it? Not to see our own face, but to see what's standing behind us. Because at a depth where no sunlight has ever reached, any reflection might just be something staring back. And if anything is watching, it's likely the anglerfish, motionless, invisible, silent, but watching, not out of curiosity, out of instinct. You can't hear her coming, you can't see her waiting. And that's what makes her terrifying in a way that squeezes your breath. She doesn't hunt with claws, doesn't chase with fury. She lures you in with trust. A tiny light, gentle, delicate, and completely deceitful. This isn't a violent death, it's a voluntary one. Sweet death disguised as a whisper. Come closer, just a little. I once saw footage from a deep-sea probe that caught a real anglerfish in motion. At first, the screen showed nothing, just blackness and drifting flecks of marine snow. Then suddenly, out of what seemed like nowhere, a dim flicker emerged, dancing slowly through the void. It paused, and as you stared closer, you realized that glow was attached to a mouth, slowly opening, and then the light was gone. I don't think we creatures of the sun truly grasp what darkness means. We fear it instinctively. But in the deep sea, the anglerfish doesn't just live in darkness. It becomes it. It waits without blinking. It knows everything will eventually drift its way, if it's patient enough. We talk a lot about predators, great white sharks, crocodiles, tigers. But no one remembers the round, dumpy fish of the abyss with a headlamp and a permanent grin, because we don't see her. And what we don't see, we assume doesn't exist. That's the final mistake. It's because just because something hasn't been found doesn't mean it's not there. The anglerfish is proof that terror doesn't need to roar, doesn't need to run, doesn't need to glitter. It just needs to wait and know exactly when the prey will be foolish enough to come close. She's not just a glowing fish. She's a living metaphor, a reminder that the most horrifying traps are the ones we walk into ourselves. I often wonder if there were a human-sized anglerfish, what would its lure be? A sale notification, a loving message, a promise of a better future? Are we really so different? Or are we just drifting through the ocean of life, swimming blindly toward the first light we see only to realize too late it was a mouth? Waiting, the anglerfish isn't terrifying because of her teeth. She's terrifying because she doesn't have to chase us. We come to her. In a world where survival is a privilege, the anglerfish is the quiet victor run, impressive, unspectacular, but lethally precise. She doesn't adapt to the world. She makes the world adapt to her. And that might be the most chilling lesson of all from a creature with nothing more than a flickering light on her forehead, and a silence deep enough to swallow your soul. Thank you for diving this deep with me into the suffocating darkness of the deep sea, where light is bait, and love means fusing into someone else's body with no way back. If you're still here, after all the talk of sweet deaths, brainless lovers, and that never-changing toothy grin, I genuinely admire your endurance. If you find bizarre stories like this fascinating, or if you just enjoy that eerie little chill that comes from imagining something silently watching you in the dark, hit that follow button. I've got more strange creatures, buried secrets, and scientific facts you probably shouldn't hear right before bed. And if you have questions, thoughts, or just want to scream, "Why did they do that to the males?" drop a comment. I read them all. I promise I won't eat anyone, at least not yet. I'll see you next time on the next descent. Bring a flashlight, but don't trust the light.